Yeah, so we made a small cosmetic modification, not really a modification to the phylogenetic tree. You see these domains, bacteria, archaea, eukarya, but basically within the eukarya domain, I think a lot of people are more familiar and possibly might think all of life basically, all things basically boil down to animalia, fungi, and plantae. Basically, you can see the tree of life is a lot more massive and a lot more complicated. And what is so amazing is that all life that you see ultimately share a common ancestor. And now it may sound funny, but now basically the human being ultimately share a common ancestor with say the banana tree. Yes. As remarkable as it is, that's essentially, basically you have to understand the tree of life. Now, one of the things I'm interested in is I think I have a serious cognitive question, basically. Now, I believe in finding information, basically where you think about things objectively. Is there or is there not, in terms of macroevolution, is there or is there not a problem of transitional fossils? If there is a problem of transitional fossils, that should not be swept under the rug. That should be examined logically. If there's a lack of transitional fossils, they need to explain on the geological record why is there a lack of transitional fossils. Now, just because there are fossils of species that look similar to the other, does that necessarily mean that modern whales um, ultimately, um, that modern whales ultimately a mammal descended from a land walking mammal that eventually uh, basically dwell in the ocean? Uh, Intuitively, a whale is a mammal. Um, it seems rather strange that you would have mammals that basically live in the ocean without proposing that they descended from a common land ancestor. That should be intuitive. And clearly it is intuitive. So you consider the mammal a whale. It lives in the ocean but has to breathe air. It is not a fish with gills. It is a mammal just like you, the human that has to breathe air. So in the water, it is almost sort of analogous to, I'm not going to say sort of analogous to a human swimmer, but a whale is a mammal. It has to surface to breathe air directly. It is not, it wasn't, it ultimately did not originate from the ocean. So it is very clear that whales, as a mammal, just like you, must have an ancestor that walked on land. And there are fossils that show, I believe that there are fossils that show this transition from the ancestors of the land walking mammal settling towards the ocean in its but basically, if there is a question of fossils, there's a question of whether the record proves fossils. It would seem absurd to me that if you have a creature that lives in the ocean, breathes air directly, that is a mammal, that gives birth as a mammal, it it doesn't make sense unless you understand it from an evolutionary context. Why would you have whale-like creatures, that mammals that walk on land, whales that live in the ocean, breathe air directly, give birth as mammals and are mammals? Why would you have a tree of life that suggests relationships of common descent? Then you would have a god of confusion as opposed to a god of order, with this orderly tree of this ordered system, highly orderly.